Hey, great day, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of the Private Practice Glow Up Bootcamp series. I am your host and facilitator and coaching mentor of the bootcamp today. My name is Dr. TK, and I'm really excited for today because we have two things going on. So, the first thing is I'm going to do a 15-minute, we're going to call this a warm up, kind of like a coach. We're going to do a warm up before the game gets started. And today we're going to be talking about intentional implementation. So, as I've discussed in the other days, we have a guest coming on in about 15 minutes. She is an alumni of now two of our programs. She's been to our live events. So, we'll bring her on. And what we're going to talk about is the evolution of business and how she's been able to diversify her private practice over the course of the years that I've known her, because we've been connected for a while, but also what was her life like before getting into our program, because sometimes we discount what we were doing in business with our mindset or implementation even before we join a coaching program. And so I want y'all to give yourself a pat on the back. And so just some brief announcements. Make sure that you are capturing the recap emails that are sent to you. Please make sure that you join those Facebook groups because we have only 2 more days of the boot camp. I'll do those announcements at the end in terms of what else is coming down the pipeline. But everything that's going to happen next week, a lot of it will only happen in that Facebook group. So you want to make sure that you are a part of it and that you request access after today. So let's go ahead and share the screen and do our warm up. Put a 1 in the comment box if you have been able to catch either day 1 or 2 on the replay or live or both. Put a 1 in the comment box if you've checked those out, because I know depending on people's schedule, it does get a little tricky with the time that we have this for everybody to participate every single day. And we understand that and we're grateful for you. All right. So let me cue up the slides. Okay, so let's go through our warm up, intentional implementation. All right, so I already did the announcements. Let's go through those. All right, so business therapy. You've been technically in business therapy for the last 72 hours. So congratulations, you made it past a hyper intensive. Okay, so when I think about business therapy, because this is the term that I phrased and coined in our community this year, just because there's been a lot of changes in the mental health field, is that overcoming limiting beliefs and embracing growth in private practice is the core crux of a business therapy. So when you think about a client coming to you for therapy, I want you from this point on, if you haven't already, start thinking about, what do I require of my clients? Because yesterday we talked about them being unicorns. So what type of behavior do you require of your clients? Do you want them to show up on time? Do you want them to stay for the whole session? Do you want them to pay on time? If they cannot make it, do you have a cancellation policy where they adhere to and they pay the no-show fee if they don't show up for a session? Do you want a client to do their homework assignment? And the reason why that is imperative as it relates to you running a service-based business is what you put out, similar to laws of attraction, like a boomerang, is what you get back. And so if you are not showing up with integrity, maybe even in your own actual therapy, like you go to therapy and you're ghosting your therapist, you cannot get upset when your clients ghost you. If you're not paying your bills on time or working out payment arrangements to pay them, how can you be mad when a client ghosts you? So you really want to be mindful of, how am I showing up in my life before I become or became an entrepreneur, so that you can make sure that you are attracting abundance on both sides. Okay. So I just want to ask you a question. Do you think that you are traumatizing yourself out of business success? Well, let's look at that, right? When we look at trauma, we mainly look at therapy clients. So I'm going to read something that I posted, and it's pinned in my Instagram page. But I got a lot of traction off this video. And slide post, carousel. And I was like, this is interesting. So my post says 4 ways therapists re-traumatize themselves. News. These are all choices, by the way. You have a choice if you want to traumatize yourself over and over again. So therapists watch the news, which means that, you're sitting there engaging in something in which their goal is to show you blood and sweat and death. Like, that is the goal of the news. I took a communications class in undergrad, and they said that when we are writing, the goal is to capture the person's attention and keep it. Okay. And so should you be watching the news or should you be watching clips like on CNN, like a quick little 2 minute? And it depends on what that is. Another re-traumatizing is phone calls. Stop taking toxic phone calls or text messages from people who you know are not positive, especially during certain times of day for some of you, especially in the morning or before you go to bed. TV is you want to choose wisely based on what you did in your day. So based on your day and caseload, don't watch certain movies that will trigger you. The example that I gave yesterday, we ain't about to go on no trend about P. Diddy, you know what I'm saying? But if you serve domestic violence survivors, why are you continuing to watch that video over and over again? If that has been part of your personal life, why are you choosing to recap and watch it? Because you may not have known what it was when you first watched it, but why are you choosing to watch it over and over again to show other people? It doesn't make sense. Why are you forwarding it? You know, you're re-traumatizing yourself. And then lastly is like, are you incorporating rest? Stop doing traumatizing work on devices in your bed. Stop taking your laptop to bed. Create a workspace. So I just want to say that and remind you that we have full power and control over how we're choosing to show up in our business based off of how we show up in our personal life. But some of you are re-traumatizing yourself on purpose. I'm going to say unconsciously, but now you're aware. Okay. So when we talk about business therapy, let's first talk about understanding your limiting beliefs. And we talked about some of this with money the other day. So some of this may sound familiar for some of you. Put a 1 in the comment box if you've ever said this or you've ever thought this, because it doesn't have to come out of your mouth in order for your brain to believe it. Okay. So I am not good enough. I don't have the time or the resources to grow or start a business. I can't charge what I'm worth. Nobody's going to pay me. I can let you know I've said all of these at one point in my business. Okay. So this is what the impact of your business, what it will have if you continue to have those limiting beliefs. You will start to overthink. Some of you are here now. Overthinking causes analysis paralysis. You are so focused on trying to figure it all out by yourself that you are paralyzed in making any type of decision. Sometimes you have too many ideas. I'm gonna say for therapists, you got too many ideas every day. I know I do, you know? And so because you have so many ideas and maybe you have not strategized to put them in one place, put them in one journal, and maybe find somebody to bounce your ideas off of. Maybe you're not in the right circle to share with people your ideas where they're not shooting you down. You end up getting paralyzed again and doing nothing. Okay. Maybe you're striving for perfection. Then you do nothing, because if you're striving for perfection, you just don't start. Okay. And then maybe you are the famous therapist statement that I probably hear the most. I'll do it later. No, you won't. Tomorrow turns into next week. Some of y'all grinning right now. Right. So I will do it later, which means you never start. So do you engage in self-investment? This is your business therapy. I'm talking to therapists and healers. As a therapist, you are a healer. You're a healer of the mind, which then impacts somebody's body and the way that they operate. So you believe people should not try alone. That's your belief when you do therapy services, right? Like nobody should go through this process alone. Like I'm about to really put y'all on blast right now. So just put on your seatbelt. Okay. You also believe someone can save time and money. Think about what you tell people in a consultation for people who've already started. Hell, even if you work in a clinic, you'll say like, you've been trying this, Sally, for 10 years, but you will save time and their copay or money by getting help trying to tackle something that they do not have the tools for. So basically we're telling people that, because there's some typos in there. Basically, we're telling people that if you keep trying what you've been doing and you're expecting different results, technically that's a definition of insanity. But how many times have you done that to yourself for your business, right? You as a healer are often focused on helping other people. That's what you went into this field for. When you first learned how to do therapy, when you went on interviews, when they said, why are you in this field? You probably said to help people. And if you had a very smart interviewer, they said, can you go deeper? Like that's so generic. Tell me something else, right? So here's the problem with the limiting mindset. Sometimes you help others at the expense of your own growth and well-being. You schedule that extra client when you done promise your friend that you ain't seen in a while that y'all's gonna go to happy hour. You scheduled the client on Saturday knowing doggone well you just put your kid in AAU basketball and you say, it ain't nothing. They daddy can go to the game. Like that is not what you committed to. When was the last time you invested in your business beyond your degree? This is something we talk about a lot in our community. This is why for CEs, I only offer CEs as it relates to business, because I know that that's an area that a lot of therapists are lacking. Okay. But when was the last time you took continuing ed in which you did not already know the answers to the test on CEs for less? I've done it. $74.99 a year. Do it at the last minute. You know all the answers. That is not helping you grow your business. Why did they even make us do CEs? So that we can stay up to date. But are you staying up to date on your business? Okay. So you value self-care and growth. I know you do. So this is what therapists do. You obtain the CEs. You stay compliant with your licensing board. You read books. You listen to audiobooks. You may even go to workshops. You're at this boot camp. Congratulations. But also what you might forget, you're neglecting the foundation of a business. Seeing clients is not a foundation of a business. It's the result after getting business. You want to build something you have little to no experience of doing. Unless you tell me that you outright built someone else's business from scratch and it was a service-based mental health business that has HIPAA protected laws and then licensing board laws and then continuing educational laws or rules, you ain't had no experience in this game. You just testing it out. So you also may treat your practice like a side hustle. You see the business as an expansion of your degree. Because I have a PsyD, a doctorate degree, I have a master's in clinical psych. This is how some of y'all sound. Because I got an MA, a BA, and a PsyD. It ain't nothing for me to get to clients and get paid $150 on the side. If that's what you want to do, cool. Those are not the clinicians we're looking for, at least for our program, though. I have no problem connecting with you on Instagram and on YouTube. But if you want to build a business, come see us. Okay? Not a side hustle. Recognize and address your capacity limits. I'm saying this because this is something that has come up in our community recently when we did a in-depth survey communication call with them and said, what the hell is happening in y'all business? Some of y'all are growing, some of y'all are plateauing. And the one biggest thing that came up is, man, I reached my capacity. Please know capacity is a choice. You chose to be an entrepreneur. Some of y'all chose to leave your job too early. Some of you chose not to have reserves or you blew through it. Some of you are being lazy and not finding another stream of income. Some of you have your ego so far up your behind that you saying, I'm not going to go get a job. Sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do to pay. I know what it feels like from 7 years ago up until now. We live in a very inflated world. I live in California. It is not easy to live right now financially for the richest people. Okay, everybody has had to make an adjustment. But at the end of the day, you choose what your capacity is. So do you feel like there are enough hours in the day? Because everybody get the same 24. Beyonce do too. Beehive people. Okay. Do you feel burnt out? Do you say yes to too many things? This is all outside of the 24 hours. You choose how you're going to operate in the 8 hours that you're woke. If not, 8 hours you work because you're woke more than that. Okay. So here's a food for thought. Breaking through these barriers, these mindset barriers can come from, you can implement things in your business. And this is where our guest is going to help you all understand where slowing down to speed up is a thing, because you need to pay attention to where are areas you need to grow. And one of the biggest areas that I see, I get pushback more is delegation. And I don't get pushback from, they know they need to hire somebody. I really get pushback from, they don't want to create the systems so that they can hire somebody and keep them. It is the systems. So you also can refine your client base. Maybe like yesterday, you're trying to serve your people, but your people cannot pay. Okay. Also, are you implementing new systems to increase efficiency? Are you actually utilizing your EHR for what it's for? Okay. So next thing is building a supportive community. Do you have like-minded therapists or people around you that protect your license and promotes community growth? Because that's what we're about in our community. Do you have a mentor that has made a lot of the mistakes for you and they don't mind admitting it? Be real. You see 1% of people's lives on Instagram or what they choose to share with you. But what a lot of people do not share with you is the grind and the hustle that it took to get there. It just they make it seem like it's all cookies and cream. Now the information is there, but ain't nobody scrolling to 20 times on Instagram to find the struggle. Okay. So unless they bring it up right now, you will just think that, oh my God, they just great, but you don't know what their history was like. Do you have someone who sometimes believes in you more than you? I know I've had that in therapy where I believe in my clients more than them. And I've realized after working with teenagers, you cannot work harder than your client. Some of y'all need to start implementing that in your therapy. I do that. And I did it because I burnt out while working with kids that came out of jail in the community, because I became low-key a surrogate parent for a lot of them because they did not have a good setup, right? But I realized after taking them to Planned Parenthood, doctor's appointments, the DMV, taking them to school, checking them in, I'm a damn therapist. What am I doing? So I realized that, wait, I can't work harder than your actual system or you. You need to want this. John, you're 18, right? And so food for thought. Y'all know what this is. I blurred out the words because I'm trying to be good with my language on YouTube today. Okay. But stay connected this week in terms of how we can actually help you. Okay, that's why you're here, to get help, right? So stay connected for this interview that I'm about to pull on right now. And then also for tomorrow, we're going to be talking about our private practice academy and what that can do for you. And then we're on Friday, we're going to be talking about money. So stay connected, or you will mess around and find out, because either your business is going to stay exactly where it is. It may, I hope not, stay non-existent, or you're going to run it, but then you're going to find yourself running on the hamster wheel, because you're going to hear on my podcast how I made all these mistakes and how I help my clients skip past all of those. And you want to spend your time and money, because when you're wasting time, you are wasting money. So you're going to waste your time and money, which is to me the definition of wealth, to figure it out all by yourself. So you can fuck around and find out if you want. Excuse my language, YouTube. But I don't want y'all to take that long. Okay. I knew it was going to come out, Lord. All right. So meet our guest. So let me pull this down. So let me just introduce her, right? So her name is Lamone. I'm gonna have her introduce herself though. Her whole bio is in YouTube because I want to get down to the nitty gritty. But like I mentioned, she is an alumni of our DTA Academy. They are able to come back. So I remember for a while, I would talk to her here and there, or when I would do like surveys, or, they have our Facebook group. And then she came back, to our live event. And then she's now part of, but their cohort is wrapping up this month. She's part of our PLAT program. So what our students do in the academy is they have the opportunity to then, once they got their systems in order, say, hey, I actually now want a group practice because I know what it feels like to be a real business owner for my solo practice. I built the systems that you've asked me to build, and I fine-tuned them. I tested them out. I personalized it. Or maybe I want to have a group practice. I want to have speaking engagements or workshop. You know what? I want to be Lamone and I want to do all of it. Okay. So we're going to bring her on live. Hey.
Hi.
I saw you on the backstage laughing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So do you want to officially introduce yourself and let them know where you're located? What is your therapist title? Because a lot of also students catch these videos and they are unfamiliar with all of the acronyms. So let them know a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the journey of entrepreneurship.
Sure. My name is Lamone Downey Leonard, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rise and Hope Counseling and Wellness. I'm a licensed independent clinical social worker based in Boston, Massachusetts. And our practice focuses on Black and Brown people that have experienced anxiety, life transitions, depression, but also those that have experienced either reproductive trauma, such as fertility struggles and pregnancy, infant loss, as well as perinatal mental health. So that is all of my different titles. But I'm also a yoga instructor, a dance instructor, a double Dutch aerobics instructor. I love to craft. I am a Dr. Laura and a pet groomer. So I am many things. But this is all that's within my practice.
Yeah, no wonder you be responding to all my dancing videos. Okay. Every time I do an interview, I learn something new about something. All right, so let's rewind. So let me give everybody a theme. I want y'all to see what's possible. That's the whole goal of when I bring clinicians on. Now, her interview, this is why I know that by divine time, and as what we talked about yesterday in the boot camp, that things happen the way that they're supposed to happen. Technically, we were supposed to have this interview next Wednesday because I said, oh, let's just go through the boot camp this week. And then I was called to do the Hinton Foundation to be on now 2 panels. And so I realized that, oh, crap, I double booked myself. I'm human. And I booked my flight Wednesday morning to fly out to DC. So I asked my team, y'all, hey, can you contact her and see if she's available during the week? And then I realized, wouldn't it be awesome if she came and talked to the therapist, if she's available in the middle of the boot camp, so that they can not only see where you started and like wins, but also things that we've learned, AKA setbacks or whatever, but then also what's possible. Because I think that's something that we typically don't really talk about in the boot camp. We do it just more on my podcast. is the growth. And what tends to happen, we're going to talk about this, how people are going to be more attracted. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. They're going to be real attracted to what you're doing now. But I really want to emphasize what you did to get there. So let's go back. What were you doing before private practice? And then what made you start a private practice?
Yes. So I was a school social worker for 14 years, and I absolutely love what I do. But with school social work, you're not just one thing. You're not doing just a clinical hour. I was an administrator. I taught a class, hall monitor duties, all of those different things. And a major shift happened in my life in around 2017. We were going through the fertility process, and we lost our son, Joshua. And that for me flawed me. I had to take medical leave. It was a huge life-changing scenario in which I had people around me to say, you need to go sit down somewhere. You can't help nobody right now. I'm gonna need you to go sit down somewhere. And again, as Black and brown people, we often need permission to sit down because we just get hit and we keep going. So I am very, very blessed to have my husband and all of my Vibe tribe. That's my
Uh-oh, Jay, did I freeze or did she freeze?
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you left off with your Vibe tribe.
Vibe tribe.
Yeah.
So with that.
Wait. You freezing still? Okay, wait. You're moving a little bit. Hold on, y'all. We're just doing some tech. Oh, my team said maybe you come out. Oh wait, are you moving?
I'm not. I'm still here. Everything from my.
We can hear you, but like it's moving in slow mo. Right. Do you want to come out and come back in?
Sure.
Okay, go out and come back in, everybody. So everybody, while she's coming out and going back in, put in the comment box, what is one big goal that you have for your private practice or for your business in the next 5 years? Like, I've mentioned some things through the first day, like with my little resume, not little, but resume. She's mentioned that she has, worn multiple hats. What's one big thing that you want in the next 5 years? Like, what's one stream? And it could be private practice, but for some of you, I'm sure it won't stop there. Put that in the comment box. All right, she back. While y'all doing that in the chat box, go ahead. Vibe tribe.
I'm back. So my Vibe tribe. So they told me to take care of myself. So during that time, I had to really reevaluate what was I doing? Am I happy what I'm doing? Am I not happy what I'm doing? And I wasn't happy. I just wanted to be a social worker, and I don't know what the hell that meant at that time, but I'm like, I just want to be a social worker. And from there, it developed into 2020 happened. I'm like, okay, what's going on? Lots of people were just like, just do it. And I'm like, nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But I had a lot of people, including my own therapist, that was like, you need to do, this is how you sign up for insurance panels. Like I had so many people in my life that's like, you're going to do this. I don't care what you're saying. So when I signed up for insurance panels and I formally did my business in November of 2019 with all of the paperwork and stuff like that. And from there, it has developed into lots of different things. It started with just me being a solo practitioner, but I kept asking myself, so what does a social worker mean to me? I want to do all of these things. I am all of these things. How can I implement those into my practice? And I started to do those things one by one, which I was really happy about. However, it took a lot. It really took a lot to understand from solo practice. Then I started to do some dance workshops. Then I added some community work, working with young parents. Then I added a program for educators, because that's another part of me. I added a program for educators. It's called the Educator Self-Care Program, in which I'm in the school system. I'm in the school during the school day, providing mental health services for the adults. Our adults are not being taken care of. We got lots of supports for the children, but our educators are tweaking. Exactly. From there, it went to now I'm expanding. I have an intern, I have systems, and I have a team. As well as now I'm creating a membership for BIPOC moms that have experienced infant and pregnancy loss.
Yeah.
Now, if you would have asked me if this was what I was going to be doing when I said I wanted to do social, I just want to be a social worker. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. This is
Let's go through the dreaming phase. And I can do you remember what year you joined DTA?
I think we're at 2021. 2021. When my accountability partner and I were like, has it been 3 years? Has it been?
Yeah, it's been a while. I remember one time I got on Zoom with you because I was like trying to figure out where everybody was at one point, like during the pandemic. And I remember getting on Zoom with you because we were talking about actually what you're doing now. And you were talking about like you wanted all these streams of income. And I'm like, okay, I think maybe you were contemplating ECM at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I'm like, I remember talking to you. You're sitting outside or something. And so let's go to the dream again. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, 2021. We've been around for a while, y'all. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned accountability groups. And I think that part is typically missed because as human beings, we have like our friends, we have our professional friends, we have coworkers, we got our specific therapist business friends. But then when you join a community in which you literally are on the same page, because our program is super, super specific, what can you share with them about the benefits of having, and you can have different accountability groups, everybody, but what is the benefit of having an accountability group in which you are all are in the same program and on the same page?
I think because how I explain it to people is that you understand each other's crazy. You know, it's a common language, it's a common knowledge. You want to cuss, you want to just throw something some days, you want to give up. But then you have these people are like, okay, so what we doing then? You know, so it's someone that's feeding into you in a different way. Because they understand what it takes to do this. But I think for me, my journey is really understanding what type of support did I need at every stage of my life. And when I found you, well, it was actually Shayla that helped me find you. She'd be popping out of nowhere.
That's crazy. And now you circle back. That's crazy. I just thought about that.
I found Shayla because I put in one of the communities, Facebook communities. Does anybody know a business coach that's specifically for therapists? Yeah. Again, I was being very intentional about each stage in my journey. I needed someone that understood my crazy. You understand my crazy. And you dance all the time, you know stuff. This is amazing. So I'm here with it, you know. But it was really powerful to have someone that is of like mind, but also that will push you when you're not your best. Or when you're questioning, or also feed each other and have counsel with one another, because this entrepreneurial thing can be very lonely. If you don't have people that you can be really honest with about, like, this is really hard. It's like some people will be like, well, just stop then. I'm like, I can't just, what are you talking about? But if I talk to certain people in my vibe tribe, it's like, well, you're not stopping. So what are we changing? You know, that type of thing. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's so important because when the students that we do have or alumni that come on and talk about accountability, when they do bring it up, I'm like, oh, can you please talk about it? Because I noticed that a lot of you all who are talking about it out loud, y'all have been connected for years. So just to give people some context, because you came to the conference, I think the first time it happened was August of 2021. And no, 2021 or 2022, 2021, I went to New York and had like an in-person like CE workshop just to get out the house kind of thing. And so I had it, and it was pretty amazing because I don't think I thought about it because it felt like we were all connected because we had met on Zoom or in the Facebook group so much that sometimes these days online feels like real life, you know, like to the point where I'll say, am I going to see you in real life? You know, I literally say real life. And so it was pretty amazing at that point when I recognized, I think one of our photographers caught it on picture, that one accountability group could not let go of each other. They gave themselves a hug. And I was like, in my brain, I was like, y'all ain't never seen each other? But I'm like, oh no, y'all haven't. Y'all don't even live in the same state, even though some of them did. And so, and you know, it got very emotional. And then when we had the conference in 2022, the same thing happened because it was 50 to 60 people in the room in LA. And then it happened again. And like, that's why I like live events, by the way. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it it binds people together, not just for business, but it expands even beyond business from what I can gather with other therapists in our program. And I do want to highlight, she mentioned Shayla. So Shayla is one of our support coaches. Shayla joined in our second group cohort back in 2020. And I think I know what Facebook group you're talking about, because that's where a lot of the DTA student tech came from. No solicitation. It was just like, hey, I know this lady kind of thing. But I highlight that, everybody, because something that we're going to get into is that Lamone mentioned memberships. And I just think it's so cool, again, the way that the world works, spirituality works, manifestation works, whatever you want to say, that you are connected with people at divine timing for a reason, and you may not know the whole reason why. And this person saw a post, connected her with our community. She connected with another group of people, her Vibe tribe, and they got off, and then she, started doing her thing in her business. And then she circled back, and then she joined our PLAT program. But around that time, you really wanted to do your membership. And then you end up joining Shayla's membership program. Right. And so I just want to show people how things can come full circle, and you don't even know how you can utilize other people that are connected with you, even at a minimal level, as a tool. Your resources are your community. So let's go into private practice. If you can share because we have a good amount of therapists in this boot camp that they are just starting private practice. They may be at a job, they may have just gotten licensed, they may be part-time, maybe, and saying they just got started. But what are like one or two, there may be a lot, but what are 1 to 2 lessons that you have learned being an entrepreneur and a therapist, like running a private practice, that you would want to just share with the world?
It's okay to access your support and get out external validation. I know I needed a lot of external validation to leave my job. So this was I've been in private practice full time for 2 years now. After I was a social worker, I was too scared to leave. So I dropped out part time because I like consistent money. So I got on all in insurance panels to make sure I can have consistent money. But I use, when you were talking about connections, I also use Crochet to help me look at my finances, really say, can I leave my job now? I also use Marissa to say, hey girl, I need you to check my crazy about my finances, and I need you to be my bookkeeper, because I don't want to be owing all these taxes or whatever. I need you to help me with that. So it's okay to lean into the support that you have, but there are lots of things already around you that can support you. You just have to use them. It's not just about DTA, but there's people, sources, resources. You have lots of already connections. You have friends in different locations that you can run groups with, and with using their systems. There are so many different things that you can use. The other thing that I would say is that it's okay to start slow.
Oh, talk about that. Please, let's slow down and talk about that.
Because I came out trying to run, and I tripped 40,000 times, hit my face, and came back up. And then I'm starting to walk a little bit much more slower. As far as starting slow, in my head, I was going to have 4 or 5 clients, and that's what I was going to do, as well as having my my full-time or my part-time job.
Okay.
Kind of exploded. 2020 happened, so it just allowed me to grow a bit more faster than I anticipated.
Yes, I know.
But starting slow means really take your time, being step by step. For me, in order for me not to freak out, I needed to know things step by step. So to sign up for insurance, that was my goal. All of the insurance panels, and found somebody them for me, or do $80 at that time. I did 3, I did 1. So I compartmentalize in my support. Then from there, it's what's your next goal? What's your next step? What's your next step? And I think using this type of program with DTA or your Vibe Tribe or whatever, you can find what those steps that you need to do in order to not freak out. Like
Mm.
you can totally do this. It's just a matter of really taking your time. For me, I needed to take my time unless I was going to explode. I like consistency. I was in the school system. I'm leaving insurance, all of this stuff. It freaked me out. So I needed to lessen my anxiety. And once I calmed my anxiety down, I was able to really focus on the next step, which is I just want to help people. Like, how do I get to that? How did I get to that level where I can be able to use my gifts, my talents, in order to do that? But that took me feeling more secure. That I had to slow down in order to do that.
So let me ask, because I know I see some comments in the box and people are saying, yes, please, I definitely need support. Like I need to, basically, we all need to slow down and speed up. But I think that concept is still new to a lot of people. And it's kind of like one of those statements where it's easier said than done. Because I believe that everybody would love to slow down and speed up, but external circumstances may shift somebody's, like, let's just say if I wake up this morning and I say I have every intent of like doing this for my business or marketing for my business or working on content creation for 30 minutes because I got it in between clients, but then your kid's school call or something like that. And so because we talked about capacity right before you hopped on, and capacity is a choice because entrepreneurship is a choice. Like anybody, like I just want to remind everybody, just more for mindset purposes. I just feel like I can say this, like you will never be without a job. Like I didn't say entrepreneurship, you will never be without a job. Okay. And one thing I learned from one of my manifestation coaches is she said, like, I did a 1-year experiment. And her 1-year experiment was going after everything that she wanted without a shadow of a doubt. There were no doubts, meaning even if she fell down, she got back up just quicker than probably other people around her. But what she had kept telling herself was, well, what's the word? And it's a CBT, y'all. What is the worst thing that can happen? I'm going to be right back to where I am, because where I am right now, I feel like is my rock bottom. Like, what is the worst thing that can happen? And she had mentioned it in a different way and said, like, I already know how to get here. Like the universe or God has allowed me to get where I am, meaning I know the steps. So if I go somewhere else and it doesn't work, I know how to get back to where I came from. Like I know how to go apply for a clinical supervisory job if I really want to be part-time. I know how to be a college professor. Technically, I'm still on the payroll, just out, right? I know how to go back to the county if I so desire, or anybody's county. And I can literally start off right now at $130,000 a year. Like I know what I can do if things hit rock bottom, but I have my definition of what rock bottom is. But I just wanted to highlight that because it's easier said than done. And I want to hear from you, because we have calls. You have a whole business, right? But we got calls, we got community calls, we got an online community, and you participate in all of them. So how do you create time that is manageable for you to still do life and business? Because this is where I feel like people are lacking. They don't know how to create time.
Well, if you ask my husband, he'd be like, "We need to work on that a little bit, just a little bit more. Absolutely. For me, that was a part of the slow down and speed up thing. So I started to look at my capacity in a different way, and also not guilt myself into doing stuff that I no longer need to do. Because I think in a lot of cases there, especially at the beginning of the building, I felt like there was this rush. I need to get all of the money all of the time. I have to do all of the things all of the time, all at one time. Yeah. And that was tapping me out. So I better structure my time around, okay, so if I'm doing this partnership with some of my craft stuff, like I did just a craft event yesterday at a school, that means that, I'm not doing anything with the other organization over the next month, so I can recuperate, relax a little bit, and then move forward. That also means that, like, I look at the downtime in my schedule a lot differently in comparison. Usually before it's like, oh my God, I need to fill these spots. And sometimes, like, if I know my base of amount of what I need to do and how much I need to make, most of the time it's over that, so if one or two clients, if I don't feel those clients right away, that's downtime for me to invest in something else. So if I know that your call is scheduled for a specific time, then that's the specific time that I will not schedule a client that time around, so it's moving around things as needed. But also my capacity. I am a person that's an early bird. So I start earlier in the morning, get me past 6, you're gonna find out a different person, so under that I can't, I'm not my best during that time, but if I go to a meeting whenever I can.
Yeah. I want to recap. It's breaking up again. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I just wanted to recap something very important that you talked about in terms of prioritization, right? So I want people to hear me clear. I'm not saying that our program takes priority. You choose what takes priority. But if you make an investment just like your clients do in therapy, then you expect for them to take advantage of their investment. And what I heard you talk about is you made the choice to get some assistance in your business. And you also paid attention to, really importantly, you paid attention to your schedule. You knew your numbers. That's one thing that we're really big on in our community. I don't want anybody in our community signing up to overwork. We overwork a lot because we don't understand our schedule. We don't understand our numbers. And you may realize that taking on that extra client on Friday that you didn't even want to take on in the first place, meaning they're a good vibe, but you just didn't want to take them on at that last slot or whatever, but they said they were a short-term client. You end up saying yes, and you realize you didn't even need the money. Like when I say need is a strong word that I actually am trying to get out of my vocabulary right now. You didn't desire the money. And a lot of times we don't know that because you don't know your numbers. You don't even know where to go. And a DTA is called a dream schedule. Like we give you something to cast out a 5-year vision, break it down to 1 year. 5 years to 1 year, and then compare where you are now to that 1 year. And you got to make some changes. And so let's go into some of the things that you're doing now, because I believe that by you setting up systems, using outside resources. So I also want people to hear that. As a therapist, sometimes we may not understand what it means to invest in business and into our future. And it's not going to be a one-stop shop. I am not a one-stop shop. I am not a bookkeeper. So we tell our community and we give them resources to connect with different people, and you have. And because you have done all these things and personalized it to your business future, you have been able to significantly see, I'm going to call them quantum leaps, because they keep happening. And so let's tell them what you're doing in business right now, and maybe even within the last year to 2 years, because you do a lot of stuff in the community.
Last year, I had first intern, clinical intern social work, which was really great. Love her to death. Hey, man. She was a final year student. Really great segue group practice, because it's.
No, you freeze it again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Okay, Jay,
yeah.
Because I wonder, I don't know if it's the camera. You know how on Zoom, sometimes you have to turn off the camera to if it's streaming or something?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. In the past, it was a really good opportunity to test out group practice. Help me set up systems and things of that in order to help me move forward. Builds my practice. I bring on time clinician.
Oh, wait. They're missing your whole story. No. Okay. Go out. Yeah, my team is saying go out and come back, because when you did that, it refreshed you and it was no pauses.
I'm going to try.
Okay.
I'm going to try again.
Yeah, because I don't want them to miss this part. I don't want y'all to miss this part, y'all. So let me just recap what she talked about, because I know some people are going to have a client in about 15 minutes. So Lamone, come out and come back in, or try to buffer something. But recap of what she talked about was the importance of systems, connecting with a money team. So money team for her included 401k, somebody who focuses on 401k, investment portfolio or vehicles, bookkeeping services, financial forecasting. It can help with business books for group practices. And then, of course, she had to build out her own systems. Okay, go ahead. You good?
Yes. There we go. Thank you. I also added a partnership with another school to provide the mental health support for the educators at the school. I'm in the process of about to launch my membership for BIPOC moms that have experienced pregnancy and infant loss and fertility struggles. What else have I done in the past year? Went to DTA conference, traveled with my accountability divas, I call them. So those are the three major things. And again, if you've asked me a year ago or 2 years ago, what was I doing? I was doing 4 other things in addition to those things. But for me, it was about what do I want to prioritize and what do I want to put my energy into? And that was the intern, the building up the membership and adding a new partnership. But I also do like little small things in the community with some of my crafting stuff, and anything that I do has a little therapeutic spin to it. So so being able to utilize my joy of crafting in a particular setting, whether it's with young moms, teenagers, school faculty, so still being able to address the holistic wellness and what support looks like and community building looks like, but it doesn't always have to look like CBT.
I'm going to coin something, because those who were here or watched the replay yesterday, I had talked about the word dreamer. And I just want to let everybody know they're looking at a unicorn. And the reason I say that, outside of just, general characteristics, is I deem a unicorn with one big characteristic: implementation. That's why this topic today is about, diversifying your private practice and what that can look like with all the hats. But please note, what she's also saying is that even if she had ideas kind of just flowing throughout the days, she may have even attempted to run with a couple of these hats in the beginning, but then that was not conducive to her growth. And then she slowed down. But what I really want people to hear is that in order for her to get to where she was, she had to do the work. It doesn't matter what vibe tribe she had, what coaching program she had, she still had to show up as her to do the work. So I say that because some people may say, well, if I pay this amount of money, I'm gonna do the work. No, you're not. Like, you're not. It's just like I said yesterday too. Like, just because people get a marriage license don't mean that they married. Like, they may not have a covenant with God just because they have a marriage license. That's just a sheet of paper. You have to show up and be the man or the woman in the marriage, right? And so when it comes down to business, I mean, you've done, workshops, speaking engagements, you're building out your group practice, you have interns. So now let's get into, we're going to combine the chats. Let's talk about, based off how you show up, because you actually ask questions, so, which I love, because I am a coach, which I like to respond. And so how do you see the benefit of getting out of our degree and our ego, setting our pride aside? It doesn't matter how the question sounds. How have you seen asking questions benefit the growth of your business, even in the last 12 months?
Yes. Asking questions and then asking for support. I think not just the questions, but what other things, actionable items, actionable things in which you need support on, has been very liberating for me. Once I decided to, major shifts of, once I decided to, on my VA, for example, I got a VA and I thought I was like, that was the most horrible thing in the world, is to ask for support from somebody else because you can't run your own dang on business. Being able to, it liberated me to say, okay, now I have freed up time to do something else. But the asking of the questions, I ask the questions all the time. If I have someone that I can voice them to, I'm an external processor. I know that about myself. So using Voxer, yes, honey, Voxer me all day. So I can actually, Voxer you to say, this is what my thinking is. This is my question. So being able to have someone hold that for me, but also ask me questions back about those things and to give me some support around it. I think sometimes what's missing in our profession is the mentee type of mentality. For me, I'm a mentor, absolutely. And I feel that I feel that in my spirit, that's who I am. That's a part of who I am. But sometimes we also need to be a mentee. student in different things, but it's okay. Just like every student, for me, I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine. Like sometimes I have a temper tantrum because I don't want to grow. Sometimes I don't want to have these things. I don't want to do those things, but it's great to have a mentor, mentor mentee type of relationship, but also being able to ask those questions because we don't have all of the answers. It's okay to be vulnerable in this particular part of your life too.
Yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that. I'm glad that you actually mentioned words too that therapists understand, because I find that when I convert language like it's a classroom, me and our team were just talking about like, how can we explain this segment? And we were like, oh, make it look like clinical supervision. They understand that. Make it look like an internship. They understand that language. But when we speak in layman's terms, it's like, boop, goes over the head.
Mm-hmm.
But you're absolutely right. And it reminds me of one of our support coaches, Melissa. She actually talked about that last Monday as I was getting honest feedback from students, like, what support do you all need from me?
Mm-hmm.
In addition to, or to swap out what you have, because what you, and I don't know if you can speak to this because you've seen us in different levels, but we have programs that adapt to our students' needs, of course, within the context of the framework, meaning the stuff that we teach. So we're not going to say, okay, no more group, all 300 people in a DTA Facebook group get one-on-one. Like that would not be feasible because I wouldn't even be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like tomorrow, for example, we're going to go over how we're adapting it. So some of you may have heard that she said Voxer, right? So Voxer, think of it as old school Nextel, like chirp, chirp, you talk on your phone. Or if you have Marco Polo back in the day with video, it's just no video, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Voxer is an option that a lot of coaches use to communicate with their clients online. Now, Lamone is in a program where as they scale up their business, they do need more personalized services because the services do not look the same. So let's talk about the possibilities of what can go beyond systems, numbers, and private practice, because you've talked about different streams of income that you are having go on right now, like in the community. But what does scaling your business look like? Because again, as the mentee, some people want to skip to, but that makes more money. One to many. I ain't got to see one-on-one clients, but can you talk to them about what maybe that experience is like for you in comparison to DTA? Because DTA is more a foundation. Let's just get you founded to then make money. But now we're talking about systems. I'm reading through like some of these questions that we had sent over, like you're putting out initiatives. Your first question in Voxer was like, can you look over a proposal? Like, and I'm saying that because people in DTA gonna want to jump to that. And how can you do a proposal if you ain't even clarified your niche?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to shed some light on scale.
Yeah. For me, scale is about still being true and authentic to who I am, but really honing in the services in which I really want to provide. Individual is great, and I want to continue to do individual, but also I think there is power in groups and power in going from one to many. But that really started with me having the foundation and understanding who I wanted to serve. And Black and brown people are my people, so I want to be able to do that. But I also need to understand that some Black and brown people won't pay full price for therapy. So I need to make sure that I'm on insurance panels. So,
so how they gonna pay you?
I just want to be real. I just want to be real. So we pay for certain things, but full price therapy ain't gonna always be one of them. So being understanding and honest with myself about what that was, but know that the one to many and scaling takes work. Like it has been blood, sweat, tears, tantrums on many different levels, because I did not want to do a lot of the grunt work that's associated with this, social media, all this good stuff. I hired somebody for social media. I just can't. Understanding what I wanted to get off my plate, that will give me more room. But scaling is really about taking your time, for me, taking your time to grow in the way in which you want to grow. Not growing with somebody else has a group practice, so let me hire all of these five different people or whatever, and then you kind of like overwhelmed with it. For me, I back in the day, I'm like, yeah, I want to hire like 5 people, whatever. Now I'm like, I just need 2 and I'm good, because I
What
don't
does that mean to you when you hire therapists? Because I know that some therapists combine, if I'm a clinical supervisor, then I can also hire other therapists. But like, what have you learned of the difference in the hats that you wear in a day?
in an hour. Especially having this intern this year, I'm like, so I am an administrator, I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor. I do some billing. I'm working with my admin to do the billing, questions, connecting with the community, Facebook posts. You are really a lot of people at one time, and if you're having more people that you're bringing on, you're going to have to spread yourself a little bit more. So that means that you have to pull back somewhere.
Right. Right. And that's going to pull back from your money. This is why we say take your time. This is why, like, what was it, 2 years ago? We've always had Roche for a couple of years because that's like a best friend of mine. But I started to notice the need again because y'all spoke up. So thank all DTA students who like answer my questions in my surveys. I love to ask questions. But the reason I love to ask questions so much, just as you should to your therapy clients, to make sure that they're in alignment with the type of treatment that they're receiving, because some people don't want to tell you unless you ask, is what I was saying earlier is that we adapt. And I love that you had highlighted a lot of the hats that you wear, because that's not something that we pulled into this boot camp. But you gave a little snippet of what a boot camp day would have looked like if I would have done a organizational chart. So let me give y'all an idea. I'm gonna actually use Lamone's organizational chart example that we give, and I might put the video actually in Facebook so y'all can watch it or something. Is I would have told Lamone there are 3 legs to a business on an org chart. There's the growth, there's the operations, and then there's the client fulfillment or customer service therapy, whatever, right? So let's do it as an activity so they can see it. And you got streams of income, so I don't even know what you're about to say. But let's look up growth. Name off, just rapid fire. If you looked at hats like responsibilities, what are hats that you may wear in your business related to what grows it? Like you mentioned, social media is one.
Social media, connecting with communities, connecting with what we're doing, like community health centers at this point. We are email marketing, creating things for your website to have people sign up for the free stuff on your website in order for them to sign up to get onto your mailing list. It's also growth is also about reading notes, because I think it's also about understanding what my current interns or clinicians need in order for me to do supervision, for their particular growth, as well as the growth for our company to make sure that they're serving people correctly. It's about looking at my finances and looking at the growth within your finances. Am I low? Am I high? Summer is coming up. What decisions do I need to make around there? Look like I'm about to be doing a group, so I can make sure this money kind of, to balance out during the summertime. And which group am I going to run? Which population has the most time? It's a lot of questions that you really ask yourself on a day-to-day basis, in reference to that. And my systems are okay. I need to write an SOP for that.
So far, that's what I got, because some of them are combined. So I combined some of them that were outreach, but just to recap, and some of y'all should be counting these because some of y'all already tired and you ain't even started a private practice yet. Our goal is not to make you tired. Our goal is to help you run a marathon and not a sprint all the time. There will be certain seasons that you will have to run a sprint. 2020 was a sprint for 2 years. Okay. And so, because people just kept popping up on our doorstep. So she said Instagram, email marketing, a lot of outreach. And then I love how you personalize it. And you said, well, in order for me to grow, I need to find out what's going on. We can technically put it under paperwork, but I'm gonna split that under growth as well. And there was another one, but there were a total of 5 under growth. Then you choose to be over understanding your finances. That's 1. But then you also have meetings with Dr. Roche. You also have meetings with Marissa, and then other things that go on regarding finances, like credentialing, billing. So right now I'm only at 4, and we could keep going, but we'll stop for the sake of the people watching. And then in 5, I'm just going to state these because you mentioned them earlier. So her customer fulfillment is technically in 2 different legs, actually 3. So we may need to talk after this. So technically 3. So 1 is your direct services. What are you doing for your direct services? So this is where your 2 legs come from. You can say solo practice, and solo practice would be quality assurance. That's what I put that under. Quality assurance for your paperwork. SOPs are going to go under operations. So that's under the money operations, right? But under customer fulfillment, she has consultation. She has intake. She has ongoing treatment. She has quality assurance and progress notes. You have discharge summaries. That's all for one therapy client. But then there's another leg.
Surveys as well.
So it's surveys, right? That's quality assurance. Then we got another leg because she chose to do groups, whether they're in a community or connected to her practice. So we're going to take the same energy, but now we're talking about to like 5, or if it's a workshop, 15 people. So we got group therapy and workshops. That's two different marketing processes. So we about to add to that growth leg. You see, I hope you put one in the comment box if y'all see where we're going. Y'all don't realize how many hats you're wearing, because some of y'all are walking around mindless, like we talked about yesterday. You're not walking around mindful. You're walking around mindless, but you do know you're tired. You can tell me if I asked you, I've reached my capacity. But what I find is that people are unable to explain to me how they reach their capacity without realizing the aha moment. So can you be intuitive, as Lamone had done, as like I mentioned, Melissa has done? A lot of our students have become very intuitive to what they like, what they don't like, what to say yes to, what to say no to, and more importantly, when to slow down. I know your practice can hire 10 therapists, but maybe we should start at 2. And what did we say in Voxer the other day? If they are still in school, we may need to start at 1, because their level of skill set is totally different than someone who's graduated. Totally different. Yeah. So as we wrap up, I do want to like have you talk about like the recent things that you've been doing in the community. So can you give them an example? I know you just wrapped up like some groups or whatnot. So you don't have to talk about like the launch processes and all those things, but can you talk about what your experience or what this group is that you do in the community and what your experience has been? Because it's been very rewarding.
Yeah. The two that I really, okay, I love them all. Okay, whatever. I really love, I work with an organization that services homeless, parenting, or pregnant moms. And for me, that's a nod to my mom and my grandmother and aunts. They were all, young parents. And I know that all of the things that they had to go through in order to just help, just raise us. But for me, it's also rewarding because, like I have big mama energy. It is what it is. We need more Black and brown, other women feeding into the next generation, to say that this is not the end, just because I can't get a job right now because of X, I'm having some postpartum symptoms, blah, 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 while I'm there to do, crafting and community building, and it's still weaved in the conversations of empowerment, love, appreciation, support, as well as, baby, this is just the beginning. You're setting yourself up for something amazing. Just because you're a teen mom doesn't mean that you can't move mountains. So for me, that's been a really great connection with them, and we have a lot of fun. It's so much fun, and I get to enjoy their little baby, so it's fun.
Yeah, no, I'm sitting here thinking about when I used to work at a high school, and I think one of the best structure that I had seen is coming from Compton, or I'm gonna say even in the 90s. I don't think it's like that like right now, but back in the 90s, I mean, if there was a teenage pregnancy, the girl would automatically get kicked out of school.
Right.
Even if the little boy went there, it doesn't matter. They get separated. Right. And she has to go to, in Compton, it was called Cesar Chavez, down the street in the hood. And then when I moved up north and I got placed for internship to be at, I think it was Richmond High. No, Kennedy High. It was at both Kennedy High and Richmond High. They had noticed that there was clearly a significant dropout rate, right, with teenage parents. So I thought it was pretty cool that they were teaching these kids how to take care of their kids while they went to school. So what the parents did is they, let's just say if the mom and dad both went to the high school, they both had to bring their child to the daycare in the morning, which was by the health center that I worked in. The kids would be in there through the daycare, totally free. through, I don't know, the city or something, the county. And then the parents could not eat with their friends during lunch. They had to go eat with their kids during lunch. And the parents can
Mhm.
swap off. The boy can go one day, the girl can go next, so they can get a little bit of freedom. And then
Mhm.
they come pick their child up after school. And what they saw was a significant decrease in dropout. But it just always warms my soul. Like my stomach started moving, but in a warm way when you were talking about the babies, because circumstances happen and it doesn't mean that people should not receive support. But I think
Absolutely.
sometimes what is missing, even if we look at it from a business perspective, is, as I mentioned yesterday, if you want to serve your people, however you define your people, you have to know if your people are able to pay, because you still have a business to run. And what I love about the work you're doing, which is why I'm like, oh, tell me more. What you doing this week? Is I love that you have become resourceful
Mhm.
and that you have used your wittiness, your intellect, and then you know how to get support from us to then go and build your
Mhm.
own program. And that's what I foresee for a lot of therapists who want to dream big. It's not just about growing a group practice. Do you want to grow technically a agency? Because that's what a group practice is. That's
Mhm.
why we don't want you to run into it. But you have been able to cultivate like the way that you want to deliver services, the way that you want to deliver them. So you say, I want to do one to many, and I know that they're not going to be able to send all these people to me one-on-one. So let me give them a proposal. And then I'm
Mhm.
going to offer my services this way. I know we talked about the teachers in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Let's give the teachers a proposal. And then where your community comes in, whether it's your vibe tribe or us, like outright, when I got it, I was like, yeah, this is too low. Like, I want to be clear, y'all. I don't tell y'all a price for
It's so
services,
true.
but I will for sure tell you the hell to the no. Because what I'm looking at is not that I don't even think it was the price point, it was how much you were giving
So, yeah,
for
the
the
service.
price point. Because I was like, this is cool if you just take this whole paragraph out. And he was like, well, that's part of my framework. And I said, well, they either
You
gonna
gon-
say yes or no.
then you gonna be poor. That's what you essentially said. Then you're gonna
Yeah.
be poor.
And
And
I
so,
just wanted to highlight that because again, you mentioned Boxer earlier. DTA does not come with Boxer. People can add Boxer later as an add-on. I want to say that later after they created their blueprint. Because if I have nothing to coach you on, I can't coach you.
yeah.
But what I will say is you were unafraid to get feedback.
Yeah.
And you were just like, this is what I got. And then when I gave it to you, what's key is that you took execution on it within 1 to 2 weeks, whatever your time span is. But I wouldn't wait, y'all know, 3 months for her to ask us another question. So what you're actually seeing right now, what I did with the hats,
Mhm.
this is technically what DTA could look like for you, because
Mhm.
our live calls are based on where you need personalization in your business. So if you choose to be an observer, that's exactly how your investment is going to look.
Mhm.
And our calls are intimate. Our calls, I mean, when you were even DTA, we may have 300 people or 290 something in that Facebook group, but alumni don't come back like that. They come back when they need to,
Yeah.
right? So we have on average what, as low as 8 up to, I think the max I've seen is like 30 students, and it's usually in the beginning of a new cohort, everybody come back. But outside of that, I mean, you ain't talking about thousands of people. So if that's your reason to not ask for help, I mean, we got the cure. So so if there's somebody listening right now who wants the personalization that you have in your business, they want to have the niche, they want to fight the systems, but build them to then be able to scale and build the business that they deserve, but they're on the fence and they're like, oh no, meaning they're in their head. What is something that you can share with them looking back hindsight? Because if
Mhm.
you knew what you knew now, you probably would have ran even faster, but with the right tools.
But I was like right through. I'm like, no, I was running way too damn fast. I need to slow the hell down.
But with the right tool, you would have went the right way.
Absolutely, because my dreamer mentality can take me pretty far real quick, and then I'm overwhelmed. So I would say just do it. Try something. Try anything that you feel like you're kind of led to do. It started out with me with a group with private practice, and it grew. Like if I am on insurance panels, I know I'm going to get a couple of clients. What does that look like? What things do I need to be on? What panels do I need to be on in order to? So I live in Massachusetts, so I know Blue Cross Blue Shield run everything, so I'm gonna be on that one, So I'm just allowing yourself to. I think it's okay to dream, but also get the support. It's okay to want support and need support. For me, it took a minute for me to understand that. And I still struggle with that as a high level perfectionist, recovering perfectionist. For all of y'all out there, I'm here. I'm there with you. I want to do everything by myself and don't ask for help. I get it. But you need it. That's the only way in which you're going to be able to achieve the level in which you want. But try something, anything. Give yourself 90 days and see what you can do in 90 days. I'm a great woman, so if you need to contact me, I'll be like, yeah, girl, we're gonna box it.
And I'll link up your Instagram too. Because wait, so why for this interview? I'm like, who is this tagging me? Because I forgot you don't do social media a lot, so we don't interact. And then I'm like, is this Lamone? So we will link up her Instagram now, y'all, in the description box. But do you want to verbally give it to them so that they can go find it?
Yep, it's at Rising Hope CW. So for counseling and wellness. So Rising Hope CW. And that's that's both on Instagram and Facebook. I would love for you to DM me. I'm there more often now because I have social media homework nowadays because my social media people are telling me I got to do more social media homework. So AKA my team, it's telling me this is how I need you to show up. So get your act together. I appreciate that. That's the support. That's the type of support that I need at this point in my life.
So let me see who was talking back to you throughout. So I know I did some homework in the beginning, but around 9:25, we start having people come in. So someone said, good morning. Wow, you have a lot of hats. Bravo, Candace. Private. So when you went out and came back in, I asked them, like, what is your 5-year vision? Yeah. Alana said her 5-year big vision is private practice, product development, possibly workshops and courses. So I'm sure this was good for her to hear because you pretty much got your hand in every single pot. Right? Let's see. She also said I'm in the very beginning of stages. So what started happening was I noticed that as you were talking, that some of them were having a conversation, to me, a very enriching one of acknowledging where maybe the limitations are in terms of what they need to let go of to move forward. So, definitely we know a lot of people are in the beginning stages, learning their way through the process. Someone said, Dre, I want to be able to move from part-time solo to full-time group. Again, phases. And so now we're talking about part-time to whatever you declare as full-time. And the only reason I say go in these phases is that at some point you can even delegate or move some of these clients to your other clinicians' caseload. But also you want to know what it feels like to market for other therapists. If you cannot get clients yourself, it's going to be really difficult for you to market for 3 to 5 other people because they have different niches. They show up differently. Hell, they don't want to do video either sometimes. And so now you also have to coach them. That's another hat. You have to literally supervise them clinically, administrativize them. That's a whole word I just made up. Administrativize them about quality assurance, and then coach them to help them get out of their heads. Like, come on, y'all. And then we got, I definitely need support. And that's where they start saying, me too. Yeah, I'm there too. Taylor, this was a good aha moment when you were talking. My ego and pride has definitely been in the way, but I am surrendering. It reminded me of my Avery, my son, y'all. He been watching, I think, Peppa Pig. And he was, me and my husband did something, and he got on his knees and said, I surrender. Yeah, so it sounds like they definitely enjoyed y'all. On a scale of 1 to 10, y'all put it in the chat box. A 10 is great. How have y'all enjoyed us mixing in a interview, but also with a mix of showing you what's possible? Because I think that that's really key, because that's going to be connected to your why. Like, why do you need, as she mentioned multiple times, the beginning? And don't try to sprint past them. And just one last highlight, insurance panels. We do have some bonuses in DTA about pros and cons about insurance panels. But I too started on insurance panels. There's nothing wrong with it, especially for those of y'all trying to skedaddle about your 9-to-5 job. If you're talking about, but I need to be stable, it will give you stability. But please note what she said. She knew which panel to go to. Just because you call a panel doesn't mean you're committing to a panel. You can inquire. They can send you their reimbursement fees for all the CPT codes. And if it's too low, you say absolutely not. Or you can say, like I did, this is just a starter. I'm only going to take about 5 of these clients, but then I had coaching too, but general, no therapist. I had to learn harder. I had to learn about marketing, not from a therapeutic HIPAA perspective. And I just learned and took it. And then I started building out actually my group practice at that time. But I had to learn how to market and sell my services. And then I needed a foundation for the clients to be cut on the back end so they can stay and have good customer service. And that's really where her growth and all of our therapists' growth have come from, is those systems. And I know it's boring, but it's required for you to have a business and not a business. That's what we were talking about yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So I have enjoyed having you. We'll definitely make sure to link up the URL to Instagram. Y'all go over and show her some love. Don't just like a picture. Don't like this post picture about this interview. Go into her DM. And she told y'all she may take a minute, right? But go in her DM and tell her how much you enjoyed it. You know, ask her something. Feel me?
Please. I'm here to encourage y'all too. I think we all need the support, but y'all are sitting on a gold mine of things. You were your first client. So if you're thinking about like, who do I work with best or whatever, really sit with yourself and say, I can do these things well. You know, if life ended or things ended tomorrow, what can you do well? That's the thing that you need to do. So that's your client base. Go for it. Enjoy it. It's not going to be an easy process, but it has been definitely worth it for me. My God, I'm very happy for the moves that I've made. I know it wasn't always easy.
I am too. And just one last resource, if you all like, because I know therapists, sometimes we like it like a case study. So if you all want to hear from our support coaches, but in the same type of interview, but it was just 3 of us on a call versus 2, we have been doing mental health awareness live streams every Wednesday. So Wednesday matched when she said, oh, I can come on Wednesday. I'm like, cool. And so last week, it's published on YouTube. It's on the podcast. And our theme for my ladies and men too, you know, but the theme was, how do therapists can be wives, they can be moms, and they can scale their business. So both of them share with you their beginning journeys in private practice. They talk about DTA, but then they also have a different spin because they talk about what it's like to be a support coach, and kind of like what Lamone said, as far as asking for help and asking for support and asking for help. They tell you from the coaching side what it's like inside of our program and what they see maybe blocks for therapists to get growth. And I thought that was really important for even people in our program to then level up again, because to get to the next level, what they say, what got you here won't get you there. So even if you're already making 10,000, but you want to make 20, what got you to 10 may not get you to 20. So you have to acquire a new skill set. So thank you so much for coming on. I really hope I get into your DM. I appreciate you. And I will talk to you in Boxer.
All right, honey. See y'all later.
All right. Bye, everybody.